Hey, this video is actually a part 2, by the way. I recommend watching part 1 first if you haven't. Also, tomorrow I am going to be on a live stream with Narrow Raven where we talk about FNAF 3 and FNAF 4. There will be a link to that in the description. Alright, without further ado, enjoy the video. While yes, I am confident Garrett was put into the Nightmare Chambers, I don't think we are playing as him during the night portions. In the survival logbook, which at one point is shown to have belonged to Mike, there is a page that says to draw your recent dreams, and Mike responds to this by drawing Nightmare Fredbear, meaning Mike has seen Nightmare Fredbear in a dream. Even though there is sister location and dittophobia, both showing us that the Nightmare House is real, that the Nightmare animatronics are real, we also have the survival logbook saying that it was also a dream and that Mike had those dreams. So which is it? On October 27th, 2023, after an 8-year wait, we finally got the release of the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. And let me tell you, I've watched this movie. Okay, I don't know the answer. I have honestly lost count of how many times I watched it. The FNAF movie is genuinely one of my favorite movies ever, but watching it way too many times has actually helped a lot with the idea of this video, because I am convinced that this movie is Five Nights at Freddy's 4. At least it's the Mike portion of Five Nights at Freddy's 4. Yes, I understand that using the FNAF movie to solve the game's storyline will probably come off as a controversial take, but I think using this movie is perfectly reasonable, and here's why. A huge part of why this movie took as long as it did is because Scott wanted to make sure it matched up with the storyline of the games. In the Night Shift edition of the movie, which gives us a closer look behind the scenes in how the FNAF movie was made, both Emma Tammy and Josh Hutcherson comment on how Scott wanted the movie to match up with the game's lore.
Scott Cawthon, the creator of the game, has been heavily involved.
Scott has been a completely integral collaborator in this process, but also really a tent pole for keeping us on track in terms of the lore and how much to include and the design accuracy of the animatronics and every detail that he has spent over a decade of his life creating.
His input is vital to making sure that it stays true to the world that the fans love and the world that he created himself. Fans can rest assured that we are taking care of their world, taking care of their game, and taking care of these characters.
Matthew Lillard has even gone on record to say that the mindset when filming this movie is to explain the lore.
Our job in that movie is to deliver lore, but so much of the game is like fans have for so long filled in the blanks, and our job is to fill in where we can and what Scott and Emma thinks appropriate. So for me, only thing I care about is that we're doing something that the fans want, that they'll be excited to see.
So yes, you can absolutely use the movie to theorize about the games, and honestly, with that mindset, the movie really tells us a lot.
If the critics had loved it, but the fan base was grumbling and saying, wait, this isn't how it is in the lore, wait, we didn't like this, I don't like how they did this and this, and the fan base was unhappy, that would be a failure to me. I'm perfectly happy with all the critics hating it and the fan base reacting positively to it.
In the movie, Mike sleeps. He sleeps a lot. In the movie, Mike uses sleeping pills to help get in that deep sleep so he can dream about his brother's kidnapping and to search for details on who the kidnapper is. And in a way, he is trying to change the past. Mike in the movie feels guilty over what happened to Garrett, blaming himself because he was supposed to be watching his brother, but instead he got distracted and Garrett was taken. In the games, it was definitely Mike's fault for getting Garrett killed. That guilt has been following him for the rest of his life. The reason I specifically am calling out the sleeping pills is because in FNAF 4, when we sometimes look at our bed, we see a pill bottle right next to it. I think the movie is showing us that Mike is taking the pills to have the FNAF 4 dreams. Mike in the movie also surrounds himself with familiar sights and familiar sounds. We see him do this with the Nebraska poster and the nature sounds. Scott said that he had put no random Easter eggs in the game when making FNAF 4, and in FNAF 4, we hear Phone Guy's FNAF 1 Night 1 call in reverse. In the movie, Mike hears the nature sounds in his dreams. So if he's hearing the phone call in his dream, that would mean Mike is actually playing that call in his room while sleeping. Why would he do that? Well, it's like I pointed out earlier, Mike felt closer to Garrett when he was working in the FNAF 1 location. So he's trying to find as much as he can that will remind him specifically and Garrett. In both the games and movie, Mike even has an alarm clock, waking him up at 6 a.m., and in FNAF 4, we hear dogs barking, which we also hear in the movie during shots of Mike's house. That's another reason I think Garrett was in the nightmare chambers. In the movie, Mike's dreams are specifically related to Garrett and his kidnapping. If his dreams are supposed to relate to Garrett, then that would mean the nightmare chambers would have to relate to Garrett somehow. While in the games, Garrett's death is not a mystery, this does beg the question of what Mike was trying to figure out by having these dreams. The one big mystery in the FNAF 4 minigames was why Garrett was so afraid of the animatronics. Mike never had that answer, so he would constantly bully Garrett wearing the Foxy mask, but he never at any point stopped to learn why Garrett was afraid. At this point in the timeline, Mike has now had multiple encounters with the animatronics being deadly, so now that sparks his curiosity more. What did Garrett see that he was so afraid of? When Mike surrounds himself with everything that reminds him specifically of Garrett and goes to sleep, he finds himself in the FNAF 4 bedroom dealing with the nightmare animatronics. He is even stepping in Garrett's shoes in these dreams, since during the gameplay, we appear to be the same height as a young child instead of an adult. This movie explains what the dreams are, the purpose of the dreams, and lastly, the movie explains the nightmare animatronics. The movie has the missing kid spirits show up over and over in Mike's dreams. In FNAF 4, Mike fights off against the nightmares of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and Golden Freddy, who all even act like how the kids did in FNAF 1. Bonnie on the left, Chica on the right, Foxy in his little cove, Freddy in the shadows, and Golden Freddy sometimes just appearing as a giant head. The movie even has a night where Mike is in his dream alone with the Golden Freddy kid. Night 5 of FNAF 4 has you face only Nightmare Fredbear. None of the other characters ever show up on that specific night. If the nightmares are the kid spirits showing up in Mike's dreams, why are they doing that? Simple. Mike is having dreams about Garrett to try to connect with him again. This, as we already talked about, is around the time Mike has his logbook where Cassidy asks Garrett a lot of questions about his past. Was your favorite childhood toy a plastic purple telephone? Do any of these toys look familiar to you? Was your favorite ride the carousel? Do you miss them? Does he still talk to you? The party was for you. Cassidy has been helping Garrett regain a lot of his memories to help put him back together, which if Garrett begins to have memories flood back to him, he will likely also remember how much Mike bullied him and that Mike was the man who had hurt him, which would make the other kid spirits become angry at Mike, and would explain why they attack him inside of the dreams. We also know that if Mike dies in any of the dreams, he will die in real life. I say this because in the movie, whenever Mike gets attacked by any of the kids in his dreams, those injuries will appear on his body in real life.
You're bleeding, by the way. Managed to stop the bleeding, but probably gonna need stitches. I found you and you're badly hurt.
So that's the basic idea on what the FNAF 4 dreams are, but what about nights 7 and 8, where Mike is face to face with Nightmare? In the game files for FNAF 4, we learn that Nightmare is actually Shadow Freddy, also going into Mike's dreams. Shadow Freddy in Ultimate Custom Night does say he is William's wickedness. So that does explain why he's going into the dreams and hurting people, but why is he helping the kids? Again, in the movie, in the final dream sequence, the Golden Freddy kid offers Mike a false happiest day.
You can have this dream every night. You can be together with him again, like before.
Mike accepts this happiest day because he wants to be with his brother again and change the past.
You want to save Garrett, that's why you're really here. To change what happened? To go back?
But it comes at a cost. In the movie, it costs the life of his sister, and for the games, I think nights 7 and 8 is Mike trying to be in that false happiest day. There's something interesting about Nightmare. His jump scare noise slowed down a bit, kind of sounds like sirens. Perhaps on an ambulance, calling back to the minigames when Garrett was rushed to a hospital after being bit. I think nights 7 and 8 is Mike trying to accept a false happiest day because he thinks that's how he can be with his brother again, which almost gets him killed, which leads to Mike forgiving himself over what happened to Garrett and moving on with his life. Something else we see in the FNAF movie.
I've been stuck trying to fix the past, but you are the most important thing in the world to me, and I promise you I'm gonna do better.
I believe that's what the box is representing. Perhaps some things are best left forgotten for now. Notice how the text is gray, which in the FNAF 4 minigames, Mike spoke in gray text. Scott also has said the answer to what's in the box is the pieces put together. In FNAF World, after you find all the pieces relating to the Happiest Day minigames, the Fredbear plush says the pieces are in place for you and you just have to find them. In FNAF World, the pieces you collect are secret items related to playing all of the FNAF 3 minigames. Once every single minigame is played, you unlock Happiest Day, where the kids' spirits are set free. Look at Happiest Day's layout, and you find that it is exactly like Fredbear's in FNAF 4. Tables spaced the same way, the exit is in the spot where Garrett died, and the spot where the spirits rest is at Fredbear's exit. If all of these minigames unlock one of Garrett's memories, then that would mean all of these minigames are likely Garrett's memories. Turning a bad memory into a good one is actually a pretty common thing in this franchise. Jake interferes with the memory of a homeless man to give him good dreams about his family. Quote, Jake concentrated, and he sent his thoughts back through the soup of memories he'd just seen. Maybe he could pull one out, a good one, and make it bigger and brighter than the rest. If he could ease the man's pain. He had to try. Jake knew exactly which memory to make the biggest. It was the first one, the happy family dinner. Jake put all his focus on that memory. He pushed his intention into it, so it puffed up in his mind. It was almost like blowing up a balloon, only the balloon was a memory and the air was Jake's will. End quote. Jake actually does this exact same thing later for the spirit of a young girl named Millie, who was decapitated by Funtime Freddy, and now her soul is stuck in an endless loop, reliving her death over and over again. Jake enters that loop and turns Millie's awful memory into a good one. That way, instead of reliving her death for eternity, she can be happy with her family on Christmas for eternity instead. The movie even has that same instance of turning a bad memory into a good one, when the Golden Freddy spirit literally offers a happiest day to Mike where he can be with his family again. My point is, happiest day seems to be the memory of the bite of 83, but turned good instead. Instead of it being the night Garrett had his head crushed where he died later, it is now a memory used to set the spirits of Afton's victims free. The pieces to get that happiest day are the FNAF 3 minigames, which we collect in FNAF World through the clocks, which once you collect them, the Fredbear plush says the pieces are in place for you, and all you have to do is find them. guess what? In FNAF World's game files, there is actually a texture for the box unlocked and opened labeled, "He put the pieces together." That's what's in the box. It's the memory of Garrett, which Mike is now locking away, forgiving himself for what happened and finally moving on. That was a lot to write, but I hope you all enjoyed it. Again, I will be talking about all this on Narrow Raven's stream on Sunday, April 27th at 6 p.m. Central Time. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you on the stream. Bye, everyone.